you been in the Navy?
Oh, mid life.
I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we are E14. We have 40 years of naval service.
And each week we discuss a potpourri of topics, which we like to call smoke pit topics.
These are real world topics that concern us, our marriage, and our Navy with a sailor twist.
So join us each week
As we dive into the deep end.
Booyah! Hey everyone, welcome back to E14 Podcast. I'm Jamie Britt.
And I'm Heath Britt.
And together we're E14, and the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of our own and not the United States Navy or my command.
So take it or leave it. So welcome everybody back. We have a very special guest with us today. He goes by so many names: the grandfather of podcasting, or the grandfather of bad decisions, as Jamie says. He is our friend joining us from North Carolina, Ian McGlynn. Hey, Ian, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Hi, friends. It is so good to see y'all's faces. First off, I may be the grandfather of bad decisions, but y'all are the pretty people of podcasting, right?
Oh, thank you.
So no, I don't mean that like in hyperbole. I like legitimately, like I think y'all are like some of the best looking folks in podcasting, like right now. It's amazing. Y'all just look fucking fantastic. You never age. I age like milk. You guys are aging like wine. It's beautiful.
Oh gosh.
I was just gonna comment on you. You're looking good. You dropped some weight.
Not
Not to say you were fat before, but your face looks super thin right now.
There's a funny divorce joke in there. Yeah, I dropped about 200 pounds, but no, me personally, sorry. Too soon? Anyway, no,
never too soon.
I did. A lot of it was stress induced, but also a lot of it I was having some pretty significant health issues right as I was getting out, and decided to kind of lean forward on that. I didn't want to be the old vet like my cohorts are, and they got out, immediately put on 20, 30 pounds, and just their health went to shit. And I was like, no, that can't be me. I need to be the opposite of that. So yeah, I changed up a lot of things, and got working out a little bit differently because my body's not the same, but
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you look like
Yeah.
Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Aging backwards.
You're doing good. Doing good, man. What you drinking on? I saw you pouring some.
Well, I'm warming up with a little Sam Adams Oktoberfest. This year's
beer.
Oktoberfest was unbelievable. I thought last year's was good. This year's was just out of the park. So I'm warming up with that, and then I grabbed some Horse Soldier. So this distillery was started up by guys. I forget the number. I think it's 525 was the team number. The first team that went into Afghanistan.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So their team leader came out and started making whiskey, and this is their whiskey. Cool thing about this is the label's made out of tin. The press that they use to make the labels is metal that they got from the World Trade Center.
Wow, that's awesome.
So they got a chunk of metal, and they
wow.
made it into a tin press. So the
Wow.
labels are made with metal from the World Trade Center that went down during 9/11. So really awesome story. There's a lot of bullshit legends that float around the world of whiskey, but this story has like legit real time and shit that I was alive for, which I think is what makes
right. Really, stuff that
that's a lot.
you were you in when during September 11th?
I was.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah.
Yep, I was in AIT, so I'd finished up basic, and we were finishing up AIT, so I was about ready to ship to the 82nd. We were doing our final culmination exercise, so we had just gotten out to the woods that morning. Like we had marched out to the woods, and we were going to be out in the woods for a week, and they called us all in, and they said, hey, terrorists have blown up the Twin Towers, they've hit the Pentagon, and we're like, okay, cool. We thought it was the scenario. We thought they were just giving us the scenario for the week. Oh, okay, cool. We're going to be fighting terrorists all week. Awesome. But then all of a sudden, like they rip us out of the woods. They put us near the TOC, the Tactical Operations Center.
Yep.
And our commander comes out and he's pissed and he's screaming. And we're like, wow, this guy's like, he's getting into this. Like he's a good,
He's a
the
great
character.
actor.
yeah. And next thing you know, all the buses show up and everybody starts freaking out. And everybody's like, get the fuck on the buses. So we jumped on the bus. Oh, can we swear? Swearing?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Please.
So we jump on the buses. We get to the main gate at Fort Lee, Virginia. So we were just south of DC, and it's chaos. And we had been in long enough to know what blanks look like. They had real bullets in the 50 cal that were mounted on the Humvees at the gates, and people were everywhere, and it was just, they wouldn't let us turn in our weapons because they didn't know what was happening, and so that morning was insane. And then finally our commander pulled up, because they held us kind of right there by the arms room with our weapons, because they didn't know what was going on. So our commander pulled his car up there and turned on his radio, and for the first time we got to hear like what was going on that day. But yeah, 9/11 was a crazy day for those of us in Fort Lee, Virginia. That was pretty. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm old. I was like an E5 dude.
Damn.
And I was on a bus. We were going from Everett to Bremerton because our ship was in the yards in Bremerton, Washington, but we lived in Everett, so they chartered us. And we got to the base, and they were like, "No civilians can get on, only military." They somebody bombed the World Trade Center, and it was like 5 in the morning. So I'm half, I was just waking up from the bus ride. I thought it was a drill myself. I thought it was a base-wide drill because we were, the base was maybe doing a drill or something. Then I got there and saw it was real. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, terrible times.
Yeah.
So how's your Christmas shopping? You done?
No. I'm heading up to Michigan to see the kids this week, and so I get to Michigan, and first thing to do is to go finish my shopping and then do Christmas with them. So
yeah, I was just telling Heath, we have to go play, people call it White Elephant, Dirty Santa. I don't know all the other names, but I am literally the worst player ever. And I was just telling Heath about some bombs that I've had recently, and like pretty much every time I play White Elephant, everybody hates my gifts, and I'm like, what do people want? One time I got a fishing net, and I thought that would be so funny because it was like this huge net, and I was like, they're gonna have to carry it out of the party, and they hated it. They left it there. And then I got a cooler, and they were like, what are we supposed to do with this? I was like, cool beer. I don't know. Like who does not like a cooler?
Cooler's a good present, I would think.
Cooler's a good one.
Yeah, I thought so too. And then what else have I gotten?
Oh, the earmuffs.
Okay, so this was back like, when I was little, but we were playing White Elephant at church, and I didn't have any money, so I just like wrapped up a used pair of pink earmuffs, and the guys, they hated it. So I don't even know what I needed earmuffs in Texas for.
There were 2 strikes against you walking in the door. You know what I mean? They were pink, and you were in Texas. Like there was no way you were going to win that. Yeah.
Because in some states you could probably get the guys that wear the pink ones, but not in Texas.
Yeah.
Have you been to Austin recently?
No, Austin's not like Texas.
That's
Austin
really
is like
Texas.
I don't know. It's like a
transplant
suburb of New York City or something. I don't know. It's not Texas. But so anybody out there that hears this, if they can email us some good White Elephant gifts.
Because we have to go on New Year's Eve,
Christmas Eve, right?
Or Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve, to play this game again, which everyone's probably going to hate my gift. I don't know what to do, but
yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe
we'll see.
If somebody fussed about the cooler, it's not the gift, it's the people, right?
Right.
So you're doing it amazing. You're getting it right, Jamie. It's the people just suck. I would be so happy. I would be super happy. So cooler's
I
a good idea.
I would love you for life. You got me a cooler, and I didn't even know you that good. If you're just like a office worker,
that's what I thought. And I just always thought it was supposed to be kind of funny or humorous. So I would get like a huge gift and then wrap it up, and
it'd be something stupid.
It'd be something stupid like a cooler
or pink earmuffs.
Pink earmuffs, but I don't know how to play the game.
But hey, all we can do is practice.
I've been practicing my whole life.
A bottle, if everybody's above age or of age, a bottle of booze can never go wrong.
Yeah,
Ever.
I think that's where I went wrong with the cooler, because everybody else had alcohol, and I was like,
Hey, Evan Williams White Label, you can get that for under $20. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's bourbon under $20.
Yeah, best. I agree. But I tell you what, I'm so happy to have you on board, man. Today, I've been thinking about you a lot. You getting that, you retired from the Army, and I remember. You had a lot of social media posts as you were transitioning out of the Army. You had a lot of things going on with your life. As you said, the voices were loud, right? That was kind of your quote on social media. So if it doesn't bother you to talk about it a little bit, I don't raise up any bad memories, but what was going on during that time that was so hard, besides, you're getting out of something that you've been a part of for 20 plus years?
So that transition, and it hits people differently. Different people are, everybody has their own, everybody's transition is unique to them. And that's the first thing I had to come to grips with, because I see so many success stories, and then I see so many, stories that end in tragedy with people that get out, that transition after 20 years. And so it's like, oh, you're either going to be a great success or you're going to be a complete failure and end up homeless. Right. But that's bullshit. That's, you know what I mean? And so you kind of walk this road of, I have to be successful. And that pressure you put on yourself, like I have to have a great job as soon as I get out. I have to transition into something that is, going to, 6 figures, and is going to have me, in the quality of life that I was at before. And I have to do all these things. And then you're fighting the clock, and that thing is ticking, and it doesn't stop. Like if you have a hiccup, and I had a hiccup. I think the Skill Bridge program is an unbelievable thing that the DoD has done, right? This the internship program. I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't know anything about it. And the Skill Bridge rep I had to work with was new. Not her fault. She just kind of sucked, but she sucked because she was new, and we learned a lot together. So I had all of these benchmarks that I was going to hit, and these things, and everything just started falling apart. And so now all of a sudden I get into that mindset, like I'm not going to make it.
Yeah. I'm
going to fail. I'm going to be that guy that's standing, at the corner of the Walmart parking lot with a sign that says "homeless vet need help," and I'm a spiraler. So, I get that hit, and instantly I am 4 layers deep into, oh my God, it's over. And so there was a lot of that during my transition, and a lot of what you took for granted in this service just stops. It just stops, and you're just like, what? Like it doesn't phase out slowly over time. I mean, it does from the day you join. It starts to phase out slowly over time, but that's not real until you have paperwork in hand, and this date, those orders, this date, this time, you are done, and it is over.
I know that with Heath retiring, one thing that I guess we took for granted and we were just so used to was his pay coming in. And then when it didn't, we were like, oh, I mean, we had saved a little bit, but even then you're like, how long is this savings going to last? And when is the pay coming? And it was scary.
It was scary because it was like, because the Navy, and if you hear my retirement rants, I've talked on it. The Navy has really screwed the pooch on military pay, especially separators, retirees. I mean, they screwed up some DD-214 stuff. I mean, I'm not blaming the Navy. I just think that part of the Navy could be better. But I wasn't sure when I was going to get my retirement or my disability or what. I mean, Jamie was paying all the bills, but she was still a first class at the time, E6. And before, I was paying all the bills easily as a senior chief, E8.
Right.
It was a humbling experience. And then on top of it, you put that money thing on top of, you're not really you don't really have a mission anymore. You start feeling less of a person or a man or a woman. If you're a woman, you feel less of a provider. And for somebody built like me, who's a personality, ego driven, that bothers me at the core. You know what I mean?
100%. Absolutely. Your purpose, you repurpose. You have to repurpose. And for guys like us, we're in our 40s, like repurposing at 40, like ageism is a thing, and so like I'm dropping applications and all these things, and I'm competing against 22, 23-year-olds who don't have bodies that have been beat to shit for 20 years by the military, who don't have the do you identify as this type of veteran? Have you deployed before? Yes. Well, that automatically puts you into some places, not all. You're a PTSD risk, and so like that's a thing, and it sucks. And repurposing is hard because I had a clear cut purpose when I was in the military. It was defined. It was lead and develop leaders of character. And take care of your people, meet the mission, do these things. Here's, and all of that was just fading. And there's corporations and companies that have things that are similar, but there's just this massive change. And then there's that network, that safety net of people who are miserable with you, right? Not to say that your service is all miserable, but folks who share in that misery and have that common language and the mindset and all those things, that just goes away. So I sit down to have a conversation with somebody, I start speaking in acronyms, and they're like, Ian, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah,
Like,
what are you talking about, man? Your pay's not coming in? That's weird.
Yeah. And that's and the money thing too. That wasn't something that really hit me until that final, like, no pay due, because they hold your last paycheck to like clear all your shit, and then you get it later. And that was it. Like, that was like this here, it's your final one. Don't fuck it up. I worked really, really hard my last 6 months. I lived like a poor person, like a disgustingly poor person, to pay off a lot of my debts and to get pretty close to debt free, credit cards and those kinds of things done, so that those weren't sitting on top of me when I got out, so so I worked really hard, and that was a good thing, and on top of my transition time. So there's all these struggles. There's the emotional, the mental, the physical part of separating yourself from an organization that you literally grew up in. You became an adult in, you joined when you were just a young kid that didn't know shit. And now you're leaving as a, somebody who's been through combat deployments and seen things that most of the world will never see. Thank God,
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And on top of all that, I go through a divorce.
That shocked the hell out of me, honestly. When I heard that, and I knew something was up. I even talked to I never told you this, but I remember hitting up Hermes. I was like, is Ian okay? He seems off. Not your show or anything, just how you were. You can just
corresponding.
I just knew, because I don't say I know. I've never met you in person, but I know how you are on social media. And you were different. And I remember one time I even reached out to you. I said, dude, here's my number if you ever want to talk. And because I knew something was up. And then you came out and said you were going through your divorce and everything. And I was like, I knew something was up. Just because, I pay attention, and Jamie pays attention. And I consider you my friend. And I noticed it right off the bat. Well, maybe not the bat. As soon as you start showing on social media, I noticed it. Definitely. But,
yeah, and 2 major life transitions at the same time is not recommended by anybody ever. Don't ever fucking do that. That was nope. That's don't keep yourself in a shitty situation because of it. But yeah, the timing of that was pretty intense, and there was a lot going on with that.
I'm sure.
We had been married for 23 years. She had been with me the entire time that we were in the Army. And so with that, there's and our kids are all older, right? So in my mind, it was going to be easier, right? Because we have one kid left in high school. The rest of them are already done and gone and out, and one's in the Army, and it was just going to be easier. That was not true. That was not true at all. The impact that had on the family, and then so now you have this incredible family thing, and the family part of it was I think part of maybe the worst part, because in this separation, right, the ending of the marriage, you don't realize that your own family may choose the other side. Like there was a moment where a family member said, "Hey, I think we're going to get your ex-wife in the divorce," thinking like I'm going to get like cast out by my family. Like what the fuck? And there was a lot of things that didn't go well with that. And I'm not talking about just nuclear family, sons and daughters, but like mom and dad and brothers and sisters and stuff. And and that was hard. And there was a lot of times where I felt completely abandoned and totally alone, where I need my dad. You know what I mean? Right. Like I need my dad right now. Like I'm a grown ass man, but I still need my dad, but dad's not talking to me. And that was hard. On top of, oh yeah, by the way, the Army's done with you. You got to go.
Yeah.
So nobody to turn to, really. I mean,
yeah. no safety zone to fall back into work or fall back into what you know or the routine. There was no routine.
When I went through my divorce back, a while back in 2011-ish, work saved me. I could just bury myself in work and work. Hey, if I work till 8 o'clock that night, oh well. You know what I mean? Because that's just something familiar, right?
Yep. And I didn't have that. So I go on now, thanks to COVID and a bunch of other things, right. I had a ridiculous amount of leave saved. Like with my permissive TDY, it was almost like 5 months.
Holy shit.
So I go on terminal leave, and so like, hey, cool. I'm going to take some time off for me and do this. And then like, I start freaking out about work. So I got to find a job, and I find a job, and I find an excellent job. Thanks to a dear friend that I made while I was in the service. And it's right up my alley, and I'm doing some good stuff. But that job comes with a lot of downtime. When we're teaching, we're busy, but we're not teaching every day. And those days off were fucking awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were absolutely awful, because one of the challenges for me personally was on those days off, I had the freedom to do whatever the fuck I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, and people would try to be helpful, but like, oh man, that's so cool. You get to do whatever you want. No, fuck that. Because I went 20 fucking years of somebody saying, you're going to do this at this time, be at this place in this uniform and do these things. And all of a sudden that goes away. I can go fishing. I can go hiking. I can go to the store. I can go here. And what do I end up doing? I end up standing in my living room with my hands up going, I can't make a decision.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that with Heath a lot, because I was like, he didn't start work right away after he retired. He was like, I'm just going to wait for you to transfer. That way I can get a good job. And he just kind of, at first he was working out, and he was keeping up with his workouts. And then after that, he just stopped. And it was just like, everything just stopped. I'm like, why don't you go fishing? Or why don't you, I even got him a puppy. I was like, why don't you take care of this little puppy? And it was like, he was just like, he didn't know what to do.
I didn't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
And that's something they don't talk to you about in the work groups, and the Army has the Soldier for Life program.
Right.
They work really hard on making you employable. They work really hard on getting you networked so you're employable, so you're going on an education track, or you're going on an entrepreneur track. So you're doing something, right? That all they're doing is helping you stay busy.
Yeah.
They don't teach you how to sit still and process what you've just done. And that's one of the biggest things. And I think that there's more to that for me later down the road, once I get my shit together here. And I think that's where I'm going to make my touchback to the service is I need to provide that class to somebody. I need to tell them that, hey, look, there's going to come a time where, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're walking around some random parking lot because you can't sleep and you're crying and it's cold, and, you reach out to somebody, and that happened to me, and nobody told me that was going to be a thing. And it's not a thing for everybody. There are those people that plan and do all the work and they get out there, man, that transition's easy and smooth. And that's wonderful. And I love that. I love success stories, but I have a feeling that there's a lot of people that have that same moment where you're just kind of standing there and you are completely lost. And what do you do in those moments? Veteran suicide is the highest amongst any other population group. Soldier suicide is also incredibly high. And that was something I stood on there, and again, the military does really good at trying to keep you busy.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't help you for the times that you're not busy.
Right.
Right. And that's where there's a gap there. And I think that if we can fill that gap, we can grab those people and say, it's okay to not be busy, and it's okay to feel these things and to go through this stuff. And here's how you process this. Here's some more tools for your toolkit. I'm not just going to teach you how to do a great job on an interview or write a good resume or be awesome at LinkedIn. Fucking what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I never used it.
But I'm gonna teach you how to manage your your noise, and that the voices, and that's what like my voices were loud, and that was, you know, it was all of these things. You're going to fail. You're not going to be successful. Your family hates you. You're going to end up broken alone. You're, you know, and those, they got so loud. And there were times where, I mean, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. The only thing I get up and walk, you know, the MPs at where I was stationed in my last duty station right before I left, you know, they got used to seeing me walk around at 1, 2 in the morning, because I just couldn't, there was no rest for me. And it was loud. And then you start thinking of other things, you know, you start thinking about your service, about the, you know, what you did while you were there. And then you start having remorse and guilt for the things that you did while you were there. Yeah. Right. I did these things, but man, I didn't do enough.
Yeah.
I did these things. These things were huge and heavy for me, but there are so many others that had so many harder experiences than I did. And, then I feel bad for feeling bad. You know what I mean? Like my process gets interrupted because now I'm feeling guilt because I should be happy and excited, you know, that I didn't have, you know, 27 tours back to back to back and lost, you know, limbs and things like that. And I am, but that doesn't change the fact that my transition and the things that you went through were challenging and emotionally impacting you.
Right.
You know,
I remember Ian, like hitting you up right, you know, getting toward the 11th hour of your retirement. I said, man, how are you doing? You were like, there's so much to do, so much still to do. I remember like it was yesterday when I hit you up. And I remember telling you, all you can do is your best. That's all you can do at the end of the day. And it's easier said than done. Obviously, it took me a long time to realize that all I can do is my best. And if they're not happy, screw them. You know, I can't do any more than that. I remember, and you talked about how in the Army, in the military, broadly speaking, that you always have something to do. You're then told what to do. And even when it's kind of more of a laid back time while you're in, it's not as busy, you can always find something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something to do, whether somebody tells you to do it, especially when you get to E7 and above level, you're going to find something you need to fix. Right? You can always find something you need to fix. So you're constantly busy. You go from constantly busy, constantly trying to fix something or fight a mission to what do I do today?
You know, it just came to my head whenever you were talking about your story, and this is kind of stupid, but also it kind of made me think of you, Ian, because you liked history so much. But you know where the phrase "time to face the music" comes from?
No.
Or turn to face the music. So, you know, if you're on bass and you're hearing colors play, it's actually turn to face the music. You have to turn to face the music and salute, right? If you don't see a flag anywhere, you turn to the music and face it. And that's where the phrase "time to face the music" comes from. And then I was thinking about it, and we're so used to, all right, time to face the music. Let's do this while we're active duty, right? It's time to turn and face the music. And then when the music fades, that's what do you do when the music fades? That's what we're talking about here. When there's no music, you don't have to turn and face the music, and it's literally just quiet.
And that's when the voices start, right?
Yeah. Or when you still turn to face the music, right? Because the time still stays the same. It's 1700. Right. You're turning to face the music. You turn to face the music, and you're the only one turning, and everybody else is looking at you like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing?" They don't get it. They don't know, and you're just like, you know, where are my people? Like, you know,
right.
And they just don't, and it's not their fault. No. You know, they just haven't had the opportunities and the experiences and the life that you had and the chance that you had and appreciating that, right? Transitioning out is heavy. But there are still those times where you look back, you're like, man, I did some really fucking cool shit.
Right.
I got to go places and do things and meet people that most people in America will never get the opportunity to do. And I did that because the Army provided me those chances. You know, I got to go to wild, exotic places, meet people, kill them, come home. I'm kidding. You know, it was but there's a lot of wonderful things too there. And so there, that's one thing that they do at these transition classes is, I'll lean back on your good experiences and your good times. Well, what was a good experience? And that's something people don't understand. Some of my best experiences, the warmest, closest, most dear memories that I have were memories of misery.
Yeah.
We were awful. We were in such bad shape. We were getting our asses kicked. We were dirty. We smelled bad. We hadn't eaten in a couple of days. Things were awful, but we were all together. And the memory of that togetherness is what is the best thing ever. So when you're sharing, give me your best, memory in the army. Oh, I was doing this thing and things were blowing up and dudes were dying. It was freaking da-da-da. And people are like, whoa,
That sounds awful.
That sounds awful. Like that can't be a good memory. Well, no, but it was. Because the people that were around me in that time, are the nearest and dearest people on the planet. And we were all going through the same thing together. And we all, and so those kinds of, again, with the part of the transition stuff is learning a new language and sharing life and experience with people who have no fucking clue about what you're talking about or what you've done and how that could possibly be a good thing.
You got to think about it. What you did in your favorite memory was something that they see in war movies.
Yeah. It's,
and you saw the best out of people, the best come out of people during the worst circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why you would think that, you would say that's your best memory, because you saw the good in people.
You saw people rise up to the occasion, or I don't know, but they say you don't rise to the occasion, but you saw people that were highly trained overcome impossible situations.
I think one of my favorite memories. So we were going to Iraq, and I got this kid, brand new, Stephen Balderas was his name, and I'm using his actual last name too. So I think that's a no-no, but I would share the story if he was sitting right here with me. This little shithead was one of my greatest leadership challenges ever. I called all the family members of my guys before we left, and I talked to his dad, and his dad literally said, like, Ian, you're going to have to beat the shit out of this kid for him to respect you. And I'm like, I'm not going to put my hands on him. He's like, well, he's never going to respect you. I'm like, no. There are a lot of sub stories. Anyway, we became cool. It took a while. There was a lot of friction and a lot of challenges that I won't share on air. But one of my most proud memories, I think, is I got to watch him. We had a Mascal incident at the gate when we were deployed, and this dude just went to work.
Wow.
He was putting tourniquets on. This person's cool. Okay, moving on to the next. He wasn't a medic. He was a parachute rigger. He had just paid attention during combat casualty care course. Who would have known? Like, I had to wake him up like 3 times, right? But he remembered everything.
Osmosis. It just sunk in there.
And it was amazing. And just watching him just not care, just, okay, cool, this person's treated, we're good, gone, next person. Like, and how he moved and the way he moved was unbelievable. And so that was that moment where here's this shithead of a human that really just took everything in me and brought out every single tool I had to get him to be functional. And then you just watch them be amazing in an incident where most people were. The medics themselves were kind of just standing there scratching their heads going, we don't know where to start. And, here's little Stephen Balderas yelling at them, like, would you get the fuck over here and put an IV in this guy? Like, he's
wow.
yelling at the medics, and so, and so that, like, that right there. And did they rise to the occasion? Yeah, that was there the whole time. That was in him the whole time. So I agree with you, Jamie, that they don't, like, you just get put in a situation, or you're provided an opportunity to do what you can do, and to demonstrate what you have the capability and the ability to do. And that, again, an awesome moment amongst chaos and carnage. Here's this kid that's just freaking being a goddamn hero. It was awesome.
A star rises.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in the corner just shedding a tear, like, he's my guy.
Yeah, well, I'm scratching my head going, where the fuck did he come from? Like,
Where
was he 6 months ago? Like, man. Man. Yeah. But anyway.
That's awesome. And I noticed after you retired, you went through your trials and your tribulations of retirement, your divorce, and things kind of start shifting. Time tends to heal a lot of wounds. You started coming out of your shell. So what happened after that? I know you moved to North Carolina. Tell me about that.
So I got a job, and the job has a residency requirement that I live in North Carolina. So, back to brag I go, which is one thing I didn't want to do, but the job is amazing. So,
right.
So I moved back to North Carolina. I have to interject a part of the story. We're going to take a step back before the move to North Carolina, though.
Okay.
During my transition, during my getting out of the service and all this stuff, I'm in a really bad spot. I'm dark. I'm going to say one of, because there's another reason, but one of the reasons I think I'm still here, and that to kind of paint the picture of how my transition didn't go very well, is I had a person. I had a person who literally pulled me up off the bathroom floor a couple different times,
right?
And said, "Hey, we're not done yet. We got stuff to do. We got to go." And she's honestly the reason I'm still here.
Wow.
I believe I would be dead,
Really?
if it was not for her. Her name is Christina. She is unbelievable. And so she's present. She's there. She's a thing. And she's a part of my transition process. So she's an amazing source of just comfort and understanding, and really demonstrated unconditional love. And I was expecting unconditional love from family members, and I didn't get it. It wasn't a thing. And but it was a thing for her. She saw the ugliest parts of me. She saw the worst, the really awful moments that no other human on this planet has ever seen, ever. And I was married for 23 years.
Right.
She saw me at my absolute possible lowest, and said, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere. You're not scaring me. We're going to do this together. Here we go." And from that, came a thing. Like,
Wow. What an amazing woman, right?
Yeah, great. Oh my God.
No, she really is. She really is. She's gonna get so pissed off at me when she hears this, because she's all into the podcast. She loves that shit. So,
oh, really? Oh, cool.
So she's definitely gonna hop on this, and I'm gonna get smacked, I'm sure. But no, Christina was a huge part of that, and she was also she's down here in North Carolina as well. She's on a different side of the state, but there was an opportunity for frequent check-ins and to spend a lot of time with her in that whole process. So yeah, I'm here. I'm working in North Carolina. Still trying to finish up my school stuff. Obviously we've got a parenting from a distance, remote parenting, something I thought I did anyway. Comes to find out I didn't. And so that's super challenging.
Oh yeah, I imagine.
Again, our kids are all older, so like we're kind of doing that anyway with the ones that had already left the house. But when you've got a teenager in high school and you're trying to stay connected from 900 miles away, and you're going through your family's going through something that's really awful and challenging, and
right.
And they've got all of their emotions too. So here's this big heavy thing that you're going through individually. They're going through all of that as well. And so the balance, and I was terrible with the balance. I would either adopt all of their emotions and try to pull into all of their stuff and neglect myself. And that would only work for so long, because as soon as I start neglecting myself, like I'm in the basement, and
right.
And that balance life is just finding balance. I'm a Star Wars nerd, so balance is a big thing, right? So you're never going to have the.
I thought Josh was the Star Wars nerd.
I was one first. I saw the original. I saw the originals in the theater. I'm just saying.
Right. I did too.
Yeah, he's a much larger nerd when it comes to Star Wars than I am.
But you're the
still designated
OG nerd.
as. Yes,
you're the OG nerd.
I am. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a comment. I'm gonna comment on something real quick that I can't. I was trying to ignore it, but I can't anymore. Sorry, those singer chiefs coming out at me. I think about my boys, Cody and Caleb, and I think about if they did something in life as they were older that would upset me, I didn't agree with. I still love them though. I still want to be there for them. I might not agree with them. Oh, son, I don't agree with that choice, but I love you. You're always welcome in my house. You're always welcome. If you ever any problems, come talk to me. And the fact that I'm not trying to insult your parents, I'm really not, but that must have been hard on you to live through that when you're still their son. I'm not trying to make your parents look like demonize them at all, because I didn't walk in their shoes, but I would find myself hard to do that. Like, yeah, hey, you're a dumbass, maybe, but I still love you, and I want to be part of your life, and I want you to come to me, and things like that. If you need something, I want to be there. I want to be the guy you come to, not somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was hard. And a lot of that was like related to the divorce stuff,
Yeah.
And which since then we have kind of come back together, and we're working through like reconciliation with that,
Good. I'm glad.
Things are starting to settle as far as like emotions and relationship stuff. And that's starting to fall back into place. There was a ton of damage done in a very short amount of time. And so it's going to take years to fix all that. But the conversation has started. The time together is started, and we're working to fix all of that. And I think with time that will get better. But in those moments, yeah, it sucked. It was really fucking miserable. And there were so many instances where I just wanted to call my dad, because we revert, like when we're in really bad spaces, we kind of revert back to that inner child that we have, right?
Yes.
We just want to run home. We just want to, we scraped our knee. We fell off our bike. What's the first thing we want? We want to run home and have mom just kiss it and make it all better.
Right.
I'm in pain. I'm hurting. I want to run home. Home's not an option.
Yeah. You see that in every war movie. If a guy gets mortally wounded, what does he say right before he died? I want my mom.
Yeah.
You see that in a lot of war movies, it's a thing. I mean, it's a thing. I remember in boot camp, I just wanted my dad, when times get really hard, you just want to be able to, you want that protection, that cover. And if you can't, it's tough. I can't imagine.
Whenever we would have a really bad day when we were deployed, we'd lose friends, we'd lose something bad would happen. Right. The very first person, a notification would go out to the families to let them know that, hey, we're okay. But the very first person I would contact, the very first person I got a hold of would be my dad. So something really bad happened to us. I'm not calling, my now ex-wife. The very first phone call that I made or reach out that I could make was to my father. Let's say, hey, we had a bad day. I'm a mess. Here's, I can't tell you everything, but here's what I'm working through. And just to have my dad kind of reach back and be like, hey, you made it. You're still here. You still have work to do. You're okay.
Yeah.
Keep working, come home, and just to hear that. And then once I got that, it was good. And again, like that's all I wanted. Like the situation wasn't as violent or as traumatic, but emotionally and mentally, it was awful. And I just, seriously, I did like all I wanted to do. And that wasn't an option. And that's where, again, thank God that I had a person, because I think a lot of guys do that same thing and they don't have a person. They don't have a Christina to pick them up off the floor and say, no, you're not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not yet. There's more, they don't have that. And without that, they fail. And that's, damn, that sucks. That sucks. I got lucky. I got lucky. I was blessed. I was gifted. The universe decided to give me somebody to save me, and I got that person. So I was one of the lucky ones, and that was good. But yeah, the family thing is I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No, definitely not.
You know, and yeah, that was probably the worst part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to run home.
I'm so glad, man. I'm so glad that Christina was there too, and she sounds like a hell of a gal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get to see her often? She lives a little ways from you. You get to how often y'all get to hang out?
So lots of weekends. I just took some time off. We went up to did spend a few days up in New York City, which was unbelievable. We saw the show Hamilton. So as a history guy, I was like head over heels, like crazy as a Broadway kid.
Yeah, that's right. Because you spent time in Broadway. Your mom was big into that, right?
Yeah, but both my parents are theater majors, so I grew up with all of that, and so it was amazing. It was a wonderful trip. But no, we see each other as often as we can. I'm spending Christmas with her and her family this year because the ex-wife is getting the kids this year, and so we'll see how that goes. Like that should be an interesting thing.
No, it should be fun. It should be a good time.
That's exciting.
So Hamilton, that's the one. Is that the one they made a movie with Will Smith? That is Hamilton. No, I thought they have a movie with Will Smith. He plays a superhero. I thought it was called Hamilton.
Not Hamilton. It's an age name.
Not the same Hamilton.
Oh,
not the same. No, this is like Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, Revolution.
Oh, that. Oh, that stuff. Oh, history stuff.
Yeah.
My bad.
Hancock.
I was like, why?
You're thinking.
I
Hancock.
think of Hancock.
Yeah.
I was like, why is this history side so awesome about Will Smith movie?
Now, John Hancock was the first signer of the Declaration.
Yes, I know.
Right. So kudos to you for making the connection to the history part of it. But no, I was not that excited about a Will Smith movie. So.
I'm like, damn, Will Smith been slapping people and he's getting more fans. Golly. Look at him go. So I want to, hey man, the one thing I missed, and I missed it for a long time because you're an asshole, is the Why Whiskey podcast.
Yes.
I missed it because I look forward to that every other Friday, or it was, I think it was every other Friday you dropped that episode. I would have it, I would be ready to listen. And it went away. But you did start a great podcast with your brother, the Tavern in question. Don't get me wrong. You still were talking on the mic and still putting out some badass content. But you rebooted the Why Whiskey. You got new art and everything.
I did.
So what happened? You just decided one day, hey, what the hell am I doing? Or what made you decide? I'm glad you did it. What made you decide to reboot it?
So Why Whiskey is my baby. I did it. I started it for silly reasons that really, in hindsight, were never a thing. But it became a thing. It became my baby. So for me, I was never done. I never signed off permanently with Why Whiskey. I just couldn't do it. And because I love it so much, I could have forced through and done some shows, but it wouldn't have gotten the attention that it needed. And it's one of those things that I love so much that I'm not going to do it if I can't give it the attention and do it the way it needs to be done. And so, and with everything else that was going on in my life, that had to take a pause. And it just had to take a timeout. And that's all it was. It was a timeout. And once things started to settle and once things started to kind of fall into place and I could get that time and not necessarily the time, but it was the focus. When 20 different things are pulling for your attention, sitting down to do research, to share a cool story is next to impossible. I would sit down and so many times, June, July, and August, like I would sit down, I'd have a couple of days, be like, cool, I'm going to do some research and then I'm going to put some show notes together and and then I'd sit down and I'd start reading. And then next thing I know, I'm at my computer in tears thinking I'm like, my kids hate me. My freaking life is over. Like, there's this, so like, I'm reading about Aaron Burr. Like, why am I crying? Like, what is happening right now? So, I didn't have the ability to give it the energy and the focus that it needed to be a thing. And so now as things settle and things kind of go, I find that new normal and that rhythm of life. I'm able to give it the time and attention that it needs. And so it's back and it will always be there. And that's a thing. Like, I don't care if I get I don't check the download numbers ever. Like
Right,
it's,
right.
you know, I put it out there, I launch it, and then it's there. And then I just start immediately on the next one.
Mhm.
And because in doing a lot of thinking about it, and throughout the last 7 months, it was something that I missed so greatly. And I was like, what do I miss? Because researching and reading historiography is boring. Like guys who write history are boring. Like it's not exciting writing. They don't write like narratives. It's just regurgitation of fact.
It's facts. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I missed was you folks. What I missed, it was the people and the connection and the time and the, you know, bringing somebody on and watching them pound through 3 really hard whiskeys and still stay on the microphone and sound beautiful. Well done, Jamie. You were such a champ that night.
Thank you. I won't say I was a champ the rest of the night once we got off, but while on camera, I was good.
But I missed the connection. I missed the people, right? And the people that I missed were super small. It was you know, I've got as far as podcasting goes, I've got a pretty small network.
Yeah.
And but they're mine. You're in my network. You know, you guys you're my people, right?
Right.
And it's you know, I don't care about the people who listen to it that I don't know. And that sounds really cold and awful, but like I don't know them. So I hope they enjoy it. I hope they have a good time. I hope they come back and keep listening. But at the same time, like the people that matter, you know, are you guys and Chance and Lisa and the folks that stay, and Hermes and the entire Scuttlebutt crew. Hermes, by the way, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
He showed up at my retirement party.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It was one of those deals. So, and I was crazy busy that day and like running around. So I wasn't able to like message him back. And like, he thought he was at the right address and wasn't sure. Next thing you know, the doorbell rings. It's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And we're already drunk. And I go open the door and here's this human being standing in front of me. I will not reveal gender or anything identifying for this human.
No, he came, that human being came to our house too.
Yes.
Yeah. I opened the door and I'm like, and he says, Ian, and the voice, like right away, I'm like, holy shit, what are you doing here? Like, this is amazing. You know, and then Josh starts fangirling like crazy, but like, it was, you know, but no, like that, you know, those kinds of things, you know, the community of podcasters, of indie podcasters that kind of just, that I've gotten the pleasure to meet and the honor to work with. And that was really, that's really what brought me back is, I missed the connection, and I just want to be connected. I want to sit down. I want to drink whiskey with people. I want to talk silly stories and that's just my happy place. And so you guys are part of my happy place. And I love that. So
it kills me, man. I joke around. You are like, to me, like the godfather of podcasting, because I remember this happened a couple of times when you were going through your retirement and your divorce and everything, that when you were with Josh on the Tavern in question, that you had things to do and you needed somebody maybe to fill in for you. You remember that? I remember one time I was driving and, you know, I didn't have my phone on me, or I had it on me, but I was driving. I get home and you had asked, I saw a message, you had asked some people to help fill in for you because you thought something was coming up on the show night. And everybody was like, yeah, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. It was everybody. Thought me, because I didn't get the message, but because I was driving, but you would have. I would have. But by the time I saw you were like, oh, never mind. We decided to do this instead, or something like that. You had it covered. But just everybody, when you say they're your circle, they're your circle. They're ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing. And that's from this community that we're you know, lucky to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Nothing like it. And I'm going to brag on you a little bit about your WoW whiskey lately. It's kind of been kicking ass. I will say for me, it has. You, first of all, you're coming out, you know, when you rebooted it, the first, I say reboot, I don't know another word to say. We started doing it again. It was like 15 minutes. That was a powerful 15 minutes. You're just talking about your life. And then you came out with the Search for the Holy Grail.
Oh,
dude,
Heath has not shut up about the Search for the Holy Grail.
that is my jam, man. What a great episode, man. I mean, it always amazes me how you can not only digest that boring shit called history. I like history too, but it is boring, right? I mean,
it is.
But you twist in a way that's interesting.
Yes.
And you did the Burr one. What was
Mm-hmm.
that? Was that Jefferson's vice president? Is that
Yep.
about right?
Yep.
That guy was he was shameless, man.
Yeah.
Just,
and his whole life, he was just trying to be on top. His entire life was just the pursuit of him. He needed to be on top of something. And when he realized that he wasn't going to ever make presidency, he was never going to be on top of the country, old boy decided to raise an army and go take over a nation so he could be on top of something. Like
exactly. He went to go take over Mexico.
Yeah. I mean,
it's crazy. I never even knew that until I listened to that episode. Yeah. And you know, for a guy that started out really not shit, I mean, he made the vice president. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, he did very well. Like and he grew very fast. And you know, his tumultuous relationship with Alexander Hamilton was super funny, and that making history relatable, right? So there's a lot of people that are familiar with the show Hamilton. A lot of people, they're not necessarily history folks. They don't really know anything in front of or behind that story. So if I can show them that, hey, look, cool, like, yes, there is a dramatic end to this play, this musical, that's wonderful, but it, like, shit kept going. Like, there was more. And what's more on the backside of that is even crazier than the actual show. And just little things like that. The Holy Grail thing, I had to take a Middle Eastern history class, and because I'm wrapping up my degree here. I'm almost done. 2 more classes to go. And then and I was struggling with professor wanted us to pick our own topic to write this paper on. And I was like, I got nothing. And I started just throwing out just random shit. And one of the things was relics, archaeology, that kind of thing. and he hits back. He's like, if you do something about the Holy Grail and don't include references from Indiana Jones or the Monty Python movie, he's like, I'm going to give you a C, just so you know. Like, my professor was amazing. He was perfect. He was absolutely what I needed. So I dove in, researched, wrote the paper, got an A on the paper. Like, it was and I don't usually, I'm a good solid B student. So getting an A was a big deal for me.
Well, you're in the Army. I don't expect it.
Exactly. I don't write good. But yeah. So just the research alone that I got to do for that was wonderful. And I was like, man, this is perfect. Like, this show wrote itself. Like,
it was
like,
awesome.
I just want to share, like, cause it's so cool. Like, and there was just a bunch of shit that I didn't know. So, man, if I didn't know shit, there's probably a couple other people that don't know. So let me tell you.
Definitely.
I didn't know all that. I didn't know about the tree. I knew about the search for Holy Grail. I saw Indiana Jones. Yeah. But the other stuff that went into it, how it it didn't just affect one part of the world. It affected different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. It's a big thing. And it was a big thing for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. It's a great show, man. Keep doing it, dude.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
I look forward to hearing how Hamilton and Will Smith come together.
You know what? No, I gotta say something that's really makes me. I'm sounding dumber, but I've heard the play Hamilton throughout my life, and never thought much of it until I saw Hancock. Then I thought Hamilton, and then forgetting the name change, the name difference. So it's just a play version of the movie that Will Smith played in. That's what I thought it was ever since Hancock came out.
Oh dear.
I am such an idiot. I got a 90 on my ass. I'm not a dummy, but I do some dumb shit.
Do you have Disney Plus?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just hop on Disney Plus, search Hamilton, right? You're going to see a little box that pops up. Just click that box. Make sure you have like 2.5 hours where you don't have to do anything, and just sit down and it will all come together for you.
My mom always said I was special.
Yes.
Can confirm.
Right.
So what's new, man? When you get married again? What's going on?
Whoa. I haven't been in a fight in about 6-7 months or so, but man, we can get this going.
You start getting the chills. You start getting the shakes.
Settle down there, guy. Settle down. No, that's not a thing. No, it's right now. It's just life. Like, it's a focus on patterns and routines and establishing and getting every day figured out, and routine and pattern is a big deal for me. So I get up at a certain time, I read, I journal, I go work out, and then I roll on to my day and go from there. So like that's, that structure, I still need that. So that's my everyday. I'm working, I'm looking at possibly, well, I'm gonna keep that to myself for now.
Ooh,
I'm gonna hold on to that one. Yeah,
mystery.
there may be an announcement to come here soon, but
Nice. Marriage, right?
Stop.
I'm joking.
I hit him for you, Ian.
Thank you, Jamie.
I'm joking.
Thank you, Jamie. No, just living life, figuring out how to live in my own space. Like that's been a big, so this studio, I can't tell you, like setting up the studio was just a huge puzzle piece for me. Like that, like once I set up the mic and I got everything in place and the whiskey wall went up in my new place, and like there was just somebody had dropped like the puzzle piece in the center, and it was like, okay, cool. Like here we are, like all right,
together.
I can do this. You know what I mean? I got, those poor little bastards behind me sat in a storage freaking container for 7 months. Oof. So getting them out and putting them up on the shelf again, made me so happy. And then, just sitting down behind the microphone. That first the first episode, the relaunch, that night I was here by myself, super quiet. All the lights were off except for my one studio light here, and it was just me getting back behind the mic and just kind of letting all that shit go. I was in my studio again, and I was recording, and I heard the music, and that was my theme music. It's my show, right? I picked the music, but man, something about hearing that, because I always play it like when I record, it plays in real time, because that like I use that music to like get myself into the groove. Like here we go.
Right.
And now we're rolling. So that was the music played, and I was in my place. I was in my space, and that was a very good thing. So there's.
I love that.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I'm so glad you're back with Wild Whiskey. Tavern in Question, is it a thing anymore?
It is. So we're going to be kicking off back after the first of the year. Both, obviously, my life and my brother Josh, his life has gone upside down.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about on the show later on. Yep. But we needed a break. We were finding it was harder for us to get to recording, and then on nights that we would actually get our schedules together to record. One of the agreements that he and I made when we started the show was if our energy isn't there, we're not recording.
Right.
We cancel instantly, because we're never going to fake it.
Right.
Because there's no reason to, we're not getting paid. We're not like, you know what I mean? And the last thing we want to do is present something that isn't authentic and isn't who we are. Mm-hmm. So there were more nights than not that we would get together and we would sit down, and it would be like, bleh. Like, no, we're not doing this. And so what was great is we just wouldn't record, but we would still sit together and we would drink and just bullshit and just chat. You know what I mean? Because we'd already blocked off the time. So we're like, well, let's just sit here and let's just be brothers and talk and be silly. And we did. And some of those I recorded, and those might come out later down the road, like the lost recordings of the Tavern, right? Because some of those conversations got super silly, but they were, but that was a thing. And his life was crazy. My life was crazy. And it's like, all right, cool. Because we don't ever want it to be an obligation. Right. We want it to be something, we started that because we wanted to spend time together. We enjoy talking with each other. We love each other. And when we get together and we talk, it's a good time. And so if it becomes forced, if it becomes an obligation, that goes away, and we're not prepared to do that. So we'll take a timeout. We'll take, a year off if we need to, but first of the year kicks back. We're going to start back up. Actually, we start recording next week.
Nice.
Just so we're going to have a couple shows in the bank. So if we have a week where we don't feel like recording, we've got a recording ready to go, and we can just still drop it and be good to go. But, awesome. But yeah, Tavern's happening. We'll kick back up Thursdays at 7:30 ish on Twitch and all that stuff. So
I just thought it was so fun getting on Twitch with y'all and just talking shit to y'all when y'all were recording. It was great.
He's a
Josh
big
is the
shit
worst. We are
talker.
not supposed to look at the comment section.
I know Josh can't help it though.
He can't help it. It's like, dude,
Josh had a man crush on me for a little while.
Did he?
still does. Still does.
Yeah, man crush on me. I think if I would have showed up to his retirement, Josh might have tried to like violate me.
Well, I mean, it just would have been a fan sandwich. You would have had him on one arm, you on the other. It just would have been, this.
Awesome, man. But dude, thanks for sharing your story with us. I know you had to relive some memories, but I appreciate getting the word out there because you're not the only person that probably has to deal with that hell. Sure. I didn't deal with it in extreme as you did, but I had Jamie. That's why, or I would have gone down that road. I could see myself going down that road because we were kind of built the same.
Can I throw one more thing out there?
Yeah, please.
And I'm sorry, like to transitioning members and folks who aren't transitioning but want to support. One of the biggest things, right? There's a lot of, and I witnessed this firsthand. There's a lot of virtue signaling. Hey, call me. Hey, my phone's always on. Hey, I'm here whenever. There's not a lot of people that mean that. There's a lot of people that say it, right? But there's a lot of people that shut their phone off at night. If you're going to say that, I love you, that's amazing. Please be that support system. Don't turn your phone off. If you're going to go ahead and make that stance, you need to make sure that you're available to people. Because that was one thing. There was a lot of folks in my life that said, hey, I'm that person. I'm there. I'm this and that and the other. But they weren't. And so I just want to encourage those service members and transitioning service members and vets. If you're going to make that statement, please be sure to follow through. Please be sure, leave your phone on, turn it up, make sure that you are available to when you say you are available. Because again, that's another thing. I had a call list of folks who said they were available and they were available. There were a couple of folks who said they were available and they weren't. They're no longer on the list, right? So just be sure, folks, if you're going to make that, follow through with that and answer the phone, because you could be the difference. You could be the difference. You could be why that vet is still alive tomorrow. So answer that phone if you're going to make that statement.
That's a great point. But also since we're on the subject, for these transitioning vets that are about to retire, got any advice for them? Since you went through a pretty rough stint.
It's okay to not know. It's okay to not know what you're going to do. It's okay to not know anything. You're not broken. You're not wrong. It's okay. It's normal. You're not the first person to feel those things. You won't be the last person to feel those things. Don't hide it. Embrace it. Talk about it. Share it. The only way we get better is if we talk. Put the ego aside, and it's okay.
Well put. Well put. And with that, we wish you
fair winds
and following seas.
Oh, me blow me life.